Welcome to another episode of TFL's Hot, oh, there you go, Hot or Not, where I spend a week driving a car, and I say that loosely, and Paul takes it on the track, sets a lap time, and gets a 0 to 60 time, and at the end of the show, we let you know whether it's hot or not, and we give it to you from an automotive journalist perspective and a race car driver perspective. So just once again, give us a little bit of your background, Paul, so people know that you know how to drive a car.
Been in the automotive industry for a very long time, racing professionally, teaching at racing schools, running racing schools, and working in the automotive sector. Driving fast.
So is a Slingshot a car or motorcycle?
It's neither.
Because this is something funny.
Yeah.
It depends on the state.
Yeah.
So in Colorado, you have to have your motorcycle endorsement to actually get behind the wheel of that.
That's right.
And luckily in Colorado, we don't need to wear a helmet as long as we've got sunglasses on.
Right, just from embarrassment and a tinted visor.
So you can wear sunglasses, no helmet. Right. And actually, since that is considered in Colorado legally a motorcycle, you probably could go get your motorcycle license in it. I think we have a little bit of a disagreement because I spent the week behind the wheel, and it was the most fun I had in a three-wheeled vehicle since the big wheel.
Yeah, and like I said, I like big wheels. I have fond memories of big wheels, so don't ruin that with saying this is like a big wheel. And yeah, my time around the track wasn't quite as I think as glowing. Let's put it that way.
All right, well, let's start with the easy one. Let's go to the track and see what kind of a 0 to 60 time you got.
Okay.
All right, 0 to 60 running the Polaris Slingshot. Let's see how it does. All right, there we go. That was a pretty good launch. I just barely had the tires spinning the whole way through first in a 6.97 second 0 to 60 run at altitude from that 2.4 liter Ecotec.
So 6.5 seconds about that. It's not bad. What's wrong with that?
No, I mean, it was...
Okay, as a motorcycle, it'd be slow.
Yeah. And it was a huge amount of wheel spin in first gear, so I had to be incredibly careful. And it's only, 175 horsepower, so it was kind of a bit of a foreshadowing of what was going to happen around the track, maybe.
So this is our argument, and I think it's because, what kind of motorcycle do you drive?
I ride a Ducati.
You ride a Ducati.
916.
So for all you motorcycle snobs out there, right, this is probably some affront to God.
That's a great way of putting it. Bravo.
Because true motorcycle guys look at these three-wheeled contraptions.
Yes, it's an apparition.
They look at these three-wheel contraptions and they see the Can-Am, right? Mm-hmm. They see the Morgan three-wheeler.
Yeah.
The Messerschmitt.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And they think it's not feast, it's not fish, it's not fowl. It's something in between. And I had that perception until I spent a week behind the wheel. And the second I got behind the wheel, I just had this huge grin from ear to ear. And that was because, okay, maybe not around a racetrack, but when you're just kind of cruising down the road, it's so much fun to drive. It's like the closest thing you will get to driving the Batmobile. Or actually, as our videographer Ian said, this is like Robin's vehicle, right? This is what Robin would drive. Oh yeah, listen to that. Sounds good, doesn't it? That's because the exhaust is right up front. It doesn't go out the back. It actually comes out of the passenger or in front of the passenger side wheel well, believe it or not. So you always hear it because it's in front of you and not behind you. Now, you know that you like something when you're desperately trying to think of a way to convince your significant other how to make this a sane purchase. In other words, whenever I get into a vehicle and I start contemplating how I can convince my lovely wife that this is something that we need, I know I like it a lot, and I do like this a lot. So I know that it's dynamically challenged because you think that a vehicle that's basically square in shape, and what I mean by that is most vehicles are a rectangle, and this is basically as wide as it is long if you take the rear wheel into consideration. And you know that doesn't make for the most dynamically stable of wheel positions, right? 2 in the front, 1 in the back. But it doesn't matter anymore because unlike in the old days when there was no stability control, when there was no traction control, when there was no high tech to actually make a 3-wheeled vehicle very stable, these things were, well, they were prone to tip over. And that was my biggest fear when I first got into this Slingshot. I didn't want to take it around to turn very quickly because I thought that the back end would come sliding around or that I would go on 3 wheels. And I've actually done that before in a 3-wheeled vehicle. Not this. The more you drive it, the more confident you get, the more it feels natural. And after a while, at least on the road, you completely forget that this is a 3-wheeled vehicle. And you get this huge smile on your face. Let me show you. Yeah, you do. All right, so as a motorcycle, it's not grand. It's not that fast. Motorcycles accelerate extremely quickly. This is not so fast. Of course, motorcycles tend to be a machine that becomes, if you're good at it, one with the rider. This, of course, is more of a car. You've got a regular steering wheel. You've got a 5-speed transmission with one little niggle, and that is, if you look here, 5th gear, reverse is right below it. And sometimes, since I'm driving a lot of 6-gear cars on the highway, I will go into reverse just temporarily by accident. Usually there's a dog leg left or dog leg right. This car doesn't have it, or this motorcycle doesn't have it. And apparently when we picked it up from the Polaris dealership, it was pissing down rain, right? It was like a torrential downpour, and I was driving home and our videographer was with us, and everybody I saw was giving me a thumbs up, and I thought, that's cool, I'm driving a Batmobile. It turns out there's no rear fender on that single rear wheel, and there was like a 20-foot rooster tail sitting out there. How cool is that?
Well, yeah, it is cool, unless you're following it, I guess. But
yeah, nobody was following
me.
me.
Neat, yeah.
And you can't tell, by the way, if somebody's following you because there's no center mirror, only the side mirrors.
Right.
So let's get to the crux of the issue. Let's show them what happened when you took it around the track. All right, under this very plastic hood is a GM-sourced 2.4-liter Ecotec that's paired to a 5-speed transmission. It puts out 173 horsepower and 166 pound-foot of torque, which should be enough for a car that weighs, well, not a lot. Do you know these Kenda radios are specifically made for the Slingshot? In fact, this is the only vehicle you can get them on there, 225/45 ZR18s. And the reason they're 18s is because this is the SL model. The base model comes with 17s, but the important one isn't up front, it's the one in the back because that's where the grip is or isn't. Well, we'll find out.
It turns in pretty good, but you got to be really careful because it snaps sideways on you. So you got to really watch what you're doing with the car. When it slides, it just keeps on going. It doesn't want to come back. And if you really notice that we're missing a wheel in the back, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And the steering geometry just gets really tricky in those situations. So this thing, it's okay if you leave all the systems on and everything and just drive it on a windy back road or what have you. It probably is a fun little thing to drive, but dynamically it's just not on par with, let's say, like a Aero Atom or a Lotus Super 7 or any of the other lightweight four-wheeled vehicles that you could purchase and might compete against this thing.
How do you think you did that time?
It was pretty fun taking it around. I would say that's probably like I would guess like a 109 maybe.
Very close. Look at that. You went 108.
Oh, there we go, 108.79. All right.
And you know, I am blown away that you went so quickly in a vehicle that has 3 wheels.
So am I.
And you were really fighting it. You could tell you were really working it, but you know, a good driver can really wring this thing out and get the most out of it. I thought your time was respectable.
Yeah, I don't think that the time was bad. I think that, you know, where this thing goes, and again, you were kind of making fun of me for being a, you know, snob with my my Ducati and liking Porsches and things that you know, I like stuff that feels right, and I think that there's a reason for, you know, motorcycles have 2 wheels and cars have 4 wheels. Dynamically, there's a feel that comes from those two where you have a very balanced feel from the vehicle. This doesn't have a very balanced feel around the track. It has a huge amount of front grip relative to rear grip. And on paper, that sounds like fun because you're like, so it's a drift machine. And it is. It is absolutely a drift machine, but it doesn't have any forward bite. And it also has some very ugly tendencies. When you start putting steering lock in it, it reaches a point, because it's a triangle and not a rectangle from above like a 4-wheeled vehicle would be, that it suddenly snaps. So it suddenly picks up momentum. So it's fun to drift it a little, but you've got to be really careful. And then the steering actually goes over center, and you lose the self-centering of the wheel, and so you have to wrench the wheel back. All of this going on while you're sideways.
Yeah, you were fighting it.
It is what I would say in very, as nicely as I can say it, it's a bit of a dynamic disaster. You've got to be very, very careful with a vehicle like this. It's really not dynamically capable of handling like a car does.
So I absolutely disagree.
Great.
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Okay, Usain Bolt, fastest human sprinter, right?
Okay.
Beautiful to watch.
Where you go? Okay.
Beautiful to watch, right?
Yes, yes.
The cheetah, fastest animal.
Yeah.
When it's sprinting, beautiful to watch, right? The kangaroo, ungamely, but cool in its own right. This is the kangaroo of the automotive world.
Both of those have 2 legs or 4 legs. None of them have 3.
But it hops. It doesn't run. All right. And there's something, even though it's you know, it's not Usain and it's not a cheetah, it's still a cool kangaroo, right? It's still fun.
It's a 3-legged kangaroo. I absolutely agree with you. And a 3-legged cheetah. Yep, you got me there, Roman.
But, you know, I like kangaroos. I'm sorry you've got a thing against kangaroos. I think they're fast. I think, you know, they're
just
elegant.
the 3-legged ones.
In their own right. If you're used to driving regular old boring cars, then this is so much fun. Why is it fun? Because it's as close as you're ever going to get to actually having an open-wheeled race car. I mean, I could literally reach down and touch the floor. And unlike a motorcycle, I have a lot around me, so I feel a little bit safer. I don't feel like if I get hit by a car, like I'm definitely going to lose. So it's got a lot of the open-air feeling, a lot of the open-air emotion of a motorcycle, and yet it's got the relative safety of a car, because it does have a body structure. And best of all, you're never going to drop this bad boy, right? It's got 3 wheels. It's not going to fall down. You hit some oil, you're not going to go flying off the road. You hit some sand, you're not going to go skidding into the side of a mountain here in Colorado. So I think Polaris has built what is probably one of the most fun to drive 3-wheeled vehicles, and one of the most economical. The other cars in this category, the Morgan, forget about it. 60 to 80,000. Ariel Atom, yeah, it has 4 wheels, but you know what? It also is a lot more expensive. This, on the other hand, this is completely affordable, relatively reliable. I'm assuming we don't usually do reliability, but you can certainly take it into your local Polaris dealership and have them fix it. And just a hoot to drive. Really, just a hoot to drive on a beautiful day like this with the sun shining. You're driving the Batmobile. That's as simple as it gets. So I think for 20 to 25,000, it's just out of the ballpark smash hit, fun machine. And yeah, dynamically, it's a bit of a train wreck. I'll give you that. But you know, I'm not pushing it around corners like you are.
Right.
I'm just out there, you know, thinking it's like a motorcycle where I can bring my wife and she's not going to be like terrified. I could put stuff behind the seats. It's just practical fun, and you know, it's a kangaroo, albeit the 3-legged one.
Thank you.
Of the automotive world. Well, let me ask you the question: is it hot or not?
Pass the iced tea, please.
All right, and I'm going to go for the coffee because I think it's really hot. You know, whenever I get in a vehicle and at the end of the week, I'm like, I wonder if I could convince my wife to buy one. Then I know it's
saying
it's
something.
Yeah. So it's I guess a mixed result, but that's okay.
Yeah, not everything is cars are polarizing, and this vehicle is good at some things, like driving on the road, but not very good at driving on the track. As long as you buy it with that in mind, you're going to love it.
And I have newfound respect for you, because to see you wrestle that thing around the track, I was terrified you were going to flip it. I was like, I wonder if we have our insurance paid up. How are we going to tell?
Too late
how am I
now.
going to call Paul's wife when he flips it on the roof? But you did great.
It was fun.
As always, this is Roman and
Paul
saying thanks for watching. Remember, check out TFLcar.com for more news, views, and of course, more leaderboard reviews. If you click on the link on TFLcar.com that says leaderboard, you can see the other vehicles that we've tested, and none of them are kangaroos.
None of them.
All right, see you guys next time. Ciao. All right, we have some good old all-season Continental Pro contacts. We've got two 1550 on 17-inch wheels. Now, of course, these aren't designed to be on the track, but you know what? I think they'll do okay. Question is, how will they do in this cold? Probably better than summer tires.
Very slow start. Picks up a little bit of steam here going into the first corner. A little bit laggy when you come off the gas. You can feel the car still kind of pulling as you do that.